with our big story, the Trayvon Martin case. Joining me now for a primetime exclusive with Trayvon's parents, Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, and their attorney, Ben Crump. Welcome to you all. Another, I would imagine, very difficult day for you. Every day is bringing new twists and turns to this. What do you make, and let me start with you, Sabrina, perhaps. What do you make of the events today? The lawyers now apparently turning their backs on George Zimmerman, revealing as they did so that they don't really know where he is or what his state of mind is.
That concerns us a great deal as parents, that they don't know where he is. They should be close to him and in close contact with him and able to have communication. So it does bother us to know that they don't know where he is.
I mean, Tracy, we're being told that Angela Corey, who is the state attorney there, is preparing a news conference imminently in the next 2 or 3 days. Do you get a fear, though, a sense of anxiety that this is all getting out of control and that someone needs to take control of George Zimmerman in particular very quickly?
Yeah, he definitely needs to be contained. I think he needs to be in reach for his lawyers not to know where he's at. That doesn't sit well with us. But for Ms. Corey to come out and say that she's going to make a decision in 72 hours takes a little pressure off. There's definitely a lot of tension building up, and we're just hoping for within the next 72 hours that the correct decision is made.
Ben Crump, I mean, it's not necessarily going to be an announcement of any decision, actually, about an arrest. We don't know that yet. But are you encouraged by Angela Corey's statement just now?
Well, we're encouraged, Pierce. However, we do have a lot of anxiety over the simple fact that nobody knows where the killer of Trayvon Martin is, that he is unaccounted for. That is a major concern, because if the charges come forth like we believe and think rightfully should come from the special prosecutor, then the question is, can they get him to hold him accountable? Will he escape justice by fleeing? He is a flight risk right now, and we're concerned about that.
And Sabrina, some strange, erratic behavior by George Zimmerman through a website. Yesterday I revealed some of this on the show, in which he was quoting from songs and from authors and so on. Today he's updated it, in which he says, "I'm attempting to respond to each and every one of my supporters personally. The support's been overwhelming in volume and strength. I thank you all and ask you permit me the time to respond to each of you. Once again, thank you again." I mean, how do you feel as Trayvon's mother, seeing the man that killed your son, you know, thanking people over a website for the overwhelming support that he's receiving?
I really haven't viewed the website. I know of the website from my attorney, but I haven't really viewed the website. I'm just really trying to stay focused on justice for Trayvon, and I don't want things like that to distract me. So some of the things I do not pay attention to, and that's one of them.
Do you feel, as a family, and again, I'll put this to you, Sabrina, do you feel as a family that the sooner George Zimmerman gets arrested, the better, not just for you and for the process of justice, but also for George Zimmerman?
I think it'll be a sense of relief on both ends. He will have a chance to have his day in court where he can plead for his self-defense if that's what he wants to use. But we just want him to be arrested so that he can come before a judge and jury.
Tracy, there's been endless speculation about this case, and I've spoken to you before about what we've known as each step of the way. Given all that you've seen now, all the evidence that's been presented, everything that's been discussed and debated, is it possible, knowing your son better than anybody, is it possible that Trayvon could have instigated the altercation with George Zimmerman and could have been potentially doing something to him that could have provoked him into thinking, my life is in danger?
First and foremost, Pierce, you have to understand the raising of Trayvon. Trayvon wasn't raised to be an aggressor, as the lawyers who never met Zimmerman are accusing Trayvon of being an aggressor, the initiator. There's no doubt in my mind that Trayvon was trying to get home. First, I mean, why would he approach an individual that he didn't know. He don't know if this individual has a weapon on him. He don't know anything about this individual. So why would he approach him and attack him for no apparent reason? He never seen George Zimmerman. He never heard of George Zimmerman. So he had no reason to be the aggressor. Trayvon, I'm a firm believer in Trayvon was being followed and provoked by George Zimmerman, and I'm sure George Zimmerman initiated contact, and I'm just absolutely positively sure that Trayvon didn't initiate contact.
Well, I hope we get to a position where we can have these facts properly debated. It just certainly seems as though the legal process now is speeding up, and I think given the erratic behavior of George Zimmerman in the last 2 days that we've seen, the sooner that happens, I think the better for justice. Thank you to Sabrina Fulton, Tracy Martin and Ben Crump. Please stay in touch with us. I would greatly appreciate you sparing the time to come on my show, and we will continue to cover this case in the way that we have been. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Pierce.
Thank you.
Joining me now for more on this case is criminal defense attorney Alan Dershowitz, along with Deborah Mathis, journalist and author of Yet a Stranger, Why Black Americans Still Don't Feel at Home. Let me start with you, Alan Dershowitz. We've been talking about this almost on a daily basis now. I've got to say, personally, when I watched the two lawyers for George Zimmerman give their press conference today, I found it pretty distasteful, bordering on shockingly unprofessional, actually. And it was one of the reasons why I think my own interview with them got so fractious, is they seem to be in this for very self-serving reasons, and I found the whole thing very unedifying. What was your view as a lawyer of what went down today?
Well, I was very upset and very disturbed as a criminal defense lawyer and as somebody who teaches professional responsibility to students. There are certain things that a lawyer can do under these circumstances. A lawyer can simply say, I am no longer representing this defendant, but he can't explain why. He can't say that the client rejected my advice. You can't do that. That's lawyer-client privileged communication. He can't say that he might be willing to raise an insanity defense. That suggests that he was guilty but insane. He can't say that, the lawyers can't say that we can't reach him, we don't know where he is, he may or may not be available. He can't say that he called the prosecution. All of these things are covered either by lawyer-client privilege or by the secrets that lawyers are supposed to keep of their clients. And there's just no reason why these lawyers should have appeared on television, held press conferences, and disclosed all of this information. All they had to do was quietly say, we're no longer representing the defendant, our role in the case is over.
Deborah Mathis, I've always been struck from the start of this by how dignified Trayvon Martin's parents have been and continue to be. They've been very clear about their objective, simply to get the legal process, in their eyes, into a fair place. What do you think will happen if George Zimmerman is never arrested, if there is no extension to the legal process?
I don't know what may happen to his parents, other than the fact that they will have to live throughout their lives with this searing pain that not only did they lose their child suddenly, unexpectedly, cruelly, but there was no justice available to them as well. That is a wound that does not heal, really. I can say that not having been through that, but I am a mother, and as mothers, we know about ache and heartache and fear for our children. I don't know what the larger society may do. I shudder to think at how it may make us all feel. I would hope that peace would be maintained nonetheless.
Alan Dershowitz, the state attorney, Angela Corey, is known to be a pretty tough cookie. She has got a reputation for being hard and tough on bringing many cases to trial. Given her statement today, given the way this story has been developing, you'd be pretty amazed, would you, if this didn't now lead to at least an arrest?
I'd be surprised. I think that she will call for a prosecution. All you need to show for a prosecution is that there's probable cause. But then Florida has a strange statute. The defendant has a right to go in front of a judge, and if the judge finds that, based on the statute, he has a defense, the judge can give him what's called immunity, and then it doesn't go to trial. And if it goes to trial, the jury has to convince convict beyond a reasonable doubt. So one possible outcome here is there may be an indictment, but there may ultimately be an acquittal. Now, that requires that Zimmerman get a decent lawyer. His lawyers today, for example, said that he may have been insane because he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, that's a non sequitur. If it was post-traumatic, if it happened after the trauma, then he wasn't mentally ill at the time of the events at issue. Moreover, you don't raise a defense like that without the permission of the client. So if he gets a good lawyer, he has a reasonable chance of being acquitted by a jury, but I think he'll...
Well, yeah, I have to say that this fishing expedition that various defenders of his, whether they are his lawyers, his former lawyers, or just his friends, is pretty sickening to hear. I don't understand, frankly, despite all the racial implications here, all the political involvement in here, I don't understand why, as a country, we can't just come together and at least say, let's try this case and find out what happened.
Deborah, it's a good point. I'm going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. But thank you for joining me, and Alan Dershowitz, as always, thank you for your legal assessment.